the number one transaction Social Security does is a replacement Social Security card. You get married, name change, you lose it, you need a new card. The number one question they get is, when should I retire? And what was happening when I was at the agency is people walking in and they saw that age 62 is called the early eligibility age. No one ever told them it was a reduced monthly benefit. Never told them that benefit was going to be reduced for the rest of their life. What the agency said instead was, if you take it at 62, you'll get smaller paychecks, but for a longer period of time. In fact, you'll break even in 14 years. So you're ahead if you claim today for 14 years. Never telling people if they live past 14 years, they're then behind for the rest of their life, when that money is more important. So I got into really the idea of how you do narrative framing to change policy, which changes behavior to change retirement security.
Well, now that you've said it, the Social Security thing is very interesting to me because I deal with a lot of engineers. I'm in Houston, Texas. When we serve the entire country, but in Houston, we're based in the Woodlands, Texas, and we have the Chevron, Exxon, BP, the largest oil companies in the world. In fact, I often call Houston the Hollywood of oil. All right. And what's really interesting to me is the engineers that I work with. And they all come in with this break-even analysis, right? And they've got it down to the penny. And I just always ask them, listen, does that include your wife outliving you? And does it include the taxes that you pay on Social Security? And they look at me like, well, no. I'm like, well, isn't that important? Right? Because to me, the survivor benefits of Social Security are almost as important as the primary benefits the person claiming for the Social Security is going to get, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things too, Ryan, which we talk about Social Security, we often don't mention what the technical name of the program is. It's OASI, the Old Age Survivors Insurance Program. So what people don't realize is that Social Security is an annuity. It's the biggest annuity plan out there. It's inflation protected. It lasts the rest of your life, but it has those survivor benefits and spousal benefits. And it's important to think about that insurance concept because people think about, well, how do I game the system to maximize my lifetime benefit instead of thinking, how can I minimize my risk in retirement without leaving my savings and making sure I have income in retirement that's protected when I may need it most, and my spouse and my children, et cetera.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a guy recently retired, and 62 was his retirement age. Okay, and the moment he turned 62, he filed for Social Security, and I begged him not to. And the reason why I begged him not to is his wife is 52, and I said she is going to outlive you, sir, and you're depriving her of a much larger Social Security check that she could have at age 70. That's inflation adjusted for the rest of her life. It would be much, much greater income for her later on in life.
Yeah, no,
he was the cat.
Go ahead. You're exactly right, Ryan. That's exactly the right way to frame it. And one of the things we've been doing now is telling people, think about how you talk to clients. If you go in and talk about the early eligibility age, 62, like no one likes to be late to their benefits. They want to claim it as much early as possible. Sure. Give it now.
Am I leaving money on the table? I mean,
Exactly. That's what the mindset is. 67, we call the normal or full retirement age. But what's normal about 67? What's full about it? It's not full. Full means you can't pour any more in. But if you delay claiming to 68, 69, 70, you can get more. So why don't we talk about everything being a penalty below 70? Age 70 is sort of like this target date. Anything below 70 is a penalty. There's a bill in Congress pending called the Social Security Clarity Claiming Act, which would change how Social Security talks about the claiming ages. 62 would no longer be the early eligibility age. It would be the minimum benefit age. 67 would be the standard benefit age, and 70 would be the maximum benefit age. So imagine, Ryan, a client comes into you and says, I want to claim Social Security. And you say to them, do you want your minimum monthly benefit or your maximum monthly benefit? That's going to change the very nature of the conversation.
There's a lot of Social Security planning software companies that will be out of business the day that happens.
Well, that might be a good thing, right? Because people are trying to, this is where the financial advisors can really help people understand the benefits of delayed claiming if they can afford to do so, but walk them through those strategies and try to show the protection that Social Security can give.
Subscribe to Redefine Retirement on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.